Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. This is Nationwide. My name is Ogoch Kuka-Ona, and we are reaching you live from Abuja. Nigeria has joined the Global Alliance Against Hunger and Poverty, an initiative just launched at the ongoing summit of the G20 leaders in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. President Bola Tinubu made the commitment while addressing the summit, saying the fight against hunger and poverty must be a top priority for the world. State House correspondent Musbah Odan Wahab reports.
For the first time, President Bola Tinubu personally introduces First Lady Oluremi on the world stage. It was to the warm embrace of the host president, Luiz da Silva.
Your Highnesses.
The first session of the summit focused on a major concern of the world, poverty. From its national and global perspectives, the Brazilian presidency of the G20 acknowledges the increasing danger posed by poverty and even compounded by COVID-19.
Hunger and poverty is not the result of scarcity or natural phenomena. Hunger, as used to say the Brazilian geographer and scientist José de Castro, hunger is the biological expression of social evil.
Nigeria is one of the 19 guest countries this year, and for the second consecutive time under President Tinubu. Based on data from the National Bureau of Statistics, World Bank had projected that about 40% of Nigerians are estimated to live below the international poverty line by the end of 2024. And so, President Bola Tinubu could relate with the call for an all-inclusive growth.
The fight against hunger and poverty is not a matter of choice, but a matter of priority for me. Where do I get those helps? I have a very vibrant youth population, 70% below the age of 30. To all of us here, investment in education, investment in health, investment in food security, cheaper financing, de-risking various African countries, putting us on a better and more progressive arrangement to prioritize food security and the agricultural reforms are necessary.
As he paints the picture of challenges confronting Africa, including insecurity, multi-dimensional poverty, and cases of out-of-school children, the Nigerian leader says his administration has embarked on aggressive reform to form bases for developmental programs. But then he calls on the world to extend timely support to Africa.
Support the continent. The neglect of Africa is a danger to the rest of humanity. Africa is crying for support. Thank you very much for listening.
From Rio de Janeiro, Musbah and Wahab, NTA News.
The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Adebayo Olawole Edun, has described the renewed hope agenda of the Tinubu administration as an outstanding structure of addressing the economic challenges facing Nigeria and the populace. This is part of the minister's address at the opening of 2024 National Council on Finance and Economic Development Conference in Bauchi. Awal Abdullahi reports.
This convergence of commissioners of finance and accountant generals from the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory Abuja here in Bauchi is a yearly national conference, a strategy of developing the country's financial and economic structures. With the theme, Fostering Economic Growth in Challenging Times, Strategies for Policies and Partnership for Fiscal Sustainability and National Development. The conference dwelled more on the national fiscal framework to better the country's revenue structure.
It was a question of charting a way, looking forward and making plans in order to, first of all, stabilize the economy and then get investments to increase the productivity of Nigeria, grow the economy, create jobs, and of course, move people steadily and irrevocably and in large numbers out of poverty.
Since assuming office, my administration has prioritized physical discipline and strategic investment in key sectors. We have doubled our internally generated revenue manifold through innovative reforms, prudent management, and partnership with federal agencies and international donor agencies.
Meanwhile, Governor Bala Mohammed, while receiving the minister at the government house, assured his administration's support for the national economic target to be realized. In Bauchi, Awwal Abdullahi, NTA News.
And elsewhere, ministers of trade, investment and industry, alongside agencies under the ministry, have pledged to position Nigeria as a prime global investment destination. This was at a performance review meeting in Abuja, where stakeholders in trade, investment and industry committed to enhancing economic development through strategic partnerships and bold reforms to reviving the nation's economy. The Central Delivery Coordination Unit of the federal government is assisting the ministry, departments and agencies in tracking the implementation of policies, programs and projects. This is as the two ministers settle into the duty of delivering on investment, promotion, trade, facilitation and industrial development.
And I have no doubt that this ministry is definitely poised to deliver the economy, the productivity, the competitiveness that the Nigerian economy so desires.
We can work hard enough to deliver, for country, to deliver for the president, to deliver for Nigerians. At the end of the day, we have made our own contribution to making sure that we move forward, we move ahead.
And now, National Assembly is reiterating its commitment to fostering accountability, transparency and good governance for effective implementation of laws and policies according to the aspirations of Nigerians. This resonated in a message by President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, at a one-day roundtable for members of the Senate Committee on Legislative Compliance in conjunction with National Institutes for Legislative and Democratic Studies, NILS, and Conrad Adenoa Stiftung in Abuja. National Assembly correspondent Mohammed Rabiu Ali reports.
Legislative compliance is a critical component to the success of governance. The work of the National Assembly goes beyond enacting laws, but ensuring implementation of government policies by ministries, departments and agencies, and holding those who fail to comply accountable. This roundtable seeks to provide an excellent opportunity and engage in meaningful dialogue on how to strengthen oversight and enhance the compliance mechanism of lawmakers.
As representatives of the people, one of our core mandates is to ensure that the resolutions and laws passed by the legislature are implemented effectively. This task is not just about oversight. It is about ensuring that the aspirations of Nigerians, as articulated through their representatives, are translated into meaningful action and positive outcomes.
How do we synergize between the various committees to ensure that the mandate for which we are set up are actually met?
Other critical stakeholders say when laws and resolutions are ignored and poorly implemented, the foundation of democracy is weakened.
NILS stand ready to support this effort by providing research, capacity building, and technical assistance to ensure that this committee fulfills its mandate effectively.
Participants believe it is only with robust legislative processes and compliance mechanisms citizens will have trust and confidence in government. Mohammed Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
President Tinubu has transmitted to the Senate the medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper 2025 to 2027 for consideration and approval. In the communication read by the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, the President expresses hope of expeditious consideration and passage as it has embedded parameters upon which the 2025 budget is predicated.
MTF and FSP was approved during the Federal Executive Council meeting of 10th day of November 2024. The Senate is invited to note that as the 2025 budget of the federal government of Nigeria will be prepared based on the parameters and fiscal assumptions of the approved 2025 to 2027 MTF and FSP.
Also communicated to the Senate for approval is a request from the President of the $2.2 billion external borrowing plan. President Tinubu also requested the Senate to confirm appointments of 3 nominees as commissioners for the Independent National Electoral Commission and Bridget Oloworara as Director General of Pension Commission. Meanwhile, plenary was an outpour of tribute in honor of the late Senator Ifeanyi Ubah, representing Anambra South, who died on the 27th of July 2024. Vice President Kashim Shettima and the family of the deceased were among those in attendance at the valedictory session.
My condolences to his family, friends, and political associates, most especially you, with whom you are planning to go on a long journey. Your Excellency, please receive my most heartfelt condolences.
And this President has similarly submitted the 2025 to 2027 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper to the House of Representatives for consideration and approval. The President is seeking expeditious approval of the medium-term expenditure framework as its fiscal assumptions and parameters will be the basis for the 2025 budget. The House also requested to approve the implementation of $2.2 billion as new external borrowing to finance the 2024 budget deficit of 9.1 trillion naira.
The total new borrowing of 7.828 trillion was further subdivided into new domestic borrowing of 6.061 trillion naira and new external borrowing of 1.76 trillion naira.
In other resolutions, the House called for the activation of 87 skill acquisition centers of the National Directorate of Employment to lift millions of youths out of unemployment.
These centers, currently non-functional, the intended goal of equipping the nation's youth with essential vocational skill is being undermined. This situation is contributing to rising unemployment, as these centers were designed to offer critical training in areas such as computer operations, welding, hairdressing, shoemaking, satellite installation, etc. Skills that are crucial for self-employment and economic empowerment. It should be noted with nostalgia that Nigeria now relies on foreign nationals from mostly West African countries like Togo, Benin Republic, Cameroon, etc., to fill the medium-skilled labor market.
And away from that, despite being the most efficient means of transportation in terms of travel time in a cosmopolitan city like Lagos, growing concern about safety is undermining the growth of water transportation as a starting point to improving service delivery. Regulatory agencies have constantly stressed that there are rules operators must adhere to, but how effectively are these guidelines enforced? Michael Olaleye has the answer.
For a coastal city like Lagos, with more than 19% of its 3,577 square meters of landmass covered by water, one will have expected water transportation to be the most preferred means of mobility among the close to 25 million inhabitants. According to statistics, about 93% of Lagosians raised safety concerns for lack of interest, citing poor condition of ferries and boats, inadequate number of trained personnel, and substandard life jackets.
The risk involved, you don't know, sometimes we'll be at the middle of the water, generator just goes off. And everyone was like, 5 minutes, we are still in the middle of the water. God, what is happening? We'll now have to wait for a particular ferry to come.
The last boat mishap, about 5 weeks ago, further highlighted some of the challenges in the water transport subsector, and regulatory agencies say more safety measures are being entrenched to address this menace.
We'll still improve on our surveillance, and the marshals will be doing 24 hours work now.
The amount of money that we are spending on roads is disproportionate to what we can invest in the riverine and jetties area.
Stakeholders say the enforcement of more penalties, like the case of the Amori boat mishap, in which the manager of the operating company was arrested, and deliberate efforts to fix infrastructure will help return sanity to water transportation, thereby becoming the preferred choice among residents. In Lagos, Michael Olale, NTA News.
And for more answers into the question of enforcement of safety standard on the waterways, we now link up with Michael Olale live, who is at the CMS jetty in Marina. Hello, Michael. So give us an update on the situation of the safety standards on the nation's waterways.
Gochikuka, this is the CMS jetty in Marina, in Outer Marina to be precise, and down to my left is Apapa Port Corridor, in which in less than 10 minutes you make the journey there. Then behind me, straight down, you can quickly navigate to your destination in Badagry, in Port Novo, in less than 2 hours. But the questions still remain, the trust people have about water transportation, which raised the major, which is the issue we are talking about here. I remember before the last boat mishap that happened along this corridor, precisely 5 weeks ago, there is the enforcement, the compulsory use of life jackets is being religiously followed. Then there is the problem, the people are being told, operators know that they are not supposed to overload in their boats. Now, let me give you a typical example. When we are coming in here, there is an access gate to this place. One of the things where we're not allowed in air until we are forced to put on a life jacket. We make it clear to them that we're not even going into the water, but we are forced to put on this. This shows that even, I don't know what you want to tell the boat operators, they will not allow you into their boats. That's one of the safety measures in which that has been put. But the questions to remain, why do we continue to have this most mishap along this corridor? And the authority said, one of the problems is that most of these illegal boats or operators, if I might put it, usually operate in those hours of the day which they term as ungodly, referring to between 6 and 7 p.m. A good example was the last accident in which visibility seems to be the problem that led to the collision. So what the authority is trying to do right away is to ensure that they heighten surveillance going on the water to ensure that at those hours of the day, since you are not meant to operate from 6 down to any hour in the latter part of the day, between 6 and 12 and the likes, they ensure that violators are being are being taken, arrested. And let me tell you one fact is that enforcement is strictly being followed, like we saw in the case of the last boat mishap in which the manager of the operating company was arrested. Even the authority promised prosecution. And I can tell you right from this jetty, that is sending a lot of ambience to operators, that it is not about being obeying the rules in part. You must follow the rules in totality, because there are penalties for violation. And if we need to talk about violation, if this rule is well followed, it means that those that are that might want to violate some of those rules will either be illegal operators, which by the way the authorities have registered operators along most of the jetties in Lagos. So it will be easy to pinpoint those who are actually illegal operators here. Before I end it here, I would also like to stress that beyond operator fixing all these, the guidelines, implementing the law, putting the guideline in place and ensuring that people follow them, there is need to also fix infrastructure. Like from my own point of view, enforcement means putting infrastructure in place. Like I was making a good example with one of the officers here that works around here, the new authority. I told him that if people don't have option, how do you advise someone not to take a poisonous food if he or she has no other means of putting something into his stomach? So people might risk their life if the only means of getting to their destination is through poor jetties and near damaged boats. So I think the most important thing in going forward in order to enforce, to put in place enforcement in totality is for infrastructure to be fixed. Thank you. That is all we have from here.
Thank you, Michael. And I just wished the cameraman was able to span a little so that we could see the beauty of the seas other than the challenges you mentioned. And of course, you just told us that heaven helps those who help themselves. Thank you very much, Michael.
Thank you.
We join Adeola Omokivie. Oh, sorry, I was remembering your father. Okay, Adeola has more reports for us from that zone.
Welcome to Lagos. We're still in Lagos. The Nigerian Army is increasing the capacity of its workforce through the 2024 2nd Regimental Sergeant Majors RSM's convention holding in Lagos as a means of fortification against contemporary security challenges. Olumide Guntola witnessed the opening ceremony at Arakan Barracks.
They are always out there, working day in, day out. With the theme, fostering improved discipline and regimentation in the Nigerian Army for enhanced capacity to accomplish constitutional responsibilities within a joint environment, the Army is taking steps to combat contemporary security challenges confronting African countries, including Nigeria. Before declaring the event open, representative of the Acting Chief of Army Staff, Major General Philip Eromosele, the Corps Commander Engineers Nigerian Army, charged the RSMs to utilize the knowledge-based skills and capacity derivable from the convention, which is in line with international best practices while performing their duties.
It's one of the routine activities aimed at capacity development of a very important cadre we call the Regimental Sergeant Major. The Regimental Sergeant Major should they play critical roles in unit administrations, and they should have the capacity to discharge their responsibility.
Major General Wonigo Akpo assured all stakeholders that at the end of the convention, the Nigerian Army will be better positioned to tackle regimental-related challenges.
These vices will no doubt be mitigated through provision of quality leadership by diligent and responsive regimental sergeant majors. The convention will therefore afford participants the opportunity to appraise discipline and other challenges in the Nigerian Army with a view to forging a way forward.
The convention will, among other benefits, empower the Nigerian Army to be more professional in the discharge of its duties and in tackling internal security, counter-terrorism, as well as counter-insurgency. In Lagos, Olumide Eguntola, NTA News.
Now let's talk about celebrating men. Traditionally, men have been raised to be fighters, protectors, defenders, and breadwinners. All these have portrayed men to be very strong, and as such, should not show any form of weakness by breaking down when they need to. Diana Ajale takes a look are the strengths of men and why they should be celebrated.
They are always out there, working day in, day out, just to make sure they cater for themselves, their families, and the society. Most of them have fought wars and contributed to economic growth. No doubt, men are wired to be problem solvers in different capacities. For all the burdens men carry, they deserve to be celebrated always.
We pay children's school fees, buy gas, buy food stuff. Do everything. They are trying. I praise them.
To improve men's well-being and address the challenges they face, these respondents believe it is important for communities to support their physical, social, and emotional health, as well as provide a more inclusive environment where they are encouraged to seek help where necessary.
Men are not really celebrated, and so there should be consciousness. Employers should also let their employees know that they are worthwhile, they should be celebrated.
I wasn't aware there's something like Men's International Day, so I'm just hearing for the first time. Always busy and busy as usual. So we always recognize the women's own.
I've not seen it anywhere in the constitution that men should be the sole provider for the home. I believe it should be a partnership. Can you take a look at it?
Societal definition and perception, as well as how men are being treated, respondents say need to be redefined as men contribute more to nation building and development of the larger society. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTA News.
And need I include that they pay the high house rents in Lagos? We men celebrate you men. And those are stories from Lagos. Nationwide will continue in Kaduna when we return from this break.
Thank you for joining us in Kaduna. The Kaduna State Government, in collaboration with the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, is spearheading a 3-day zonal stakeholders engagement and subnational tour in the Northwest Zone. Awal Haliru reports.
Stakeholders from both public and private sectors have converged to share insights, identify areas for improvement, and refine the business environment. This is part of the government's broader efforts to enhance the business enabling environment in the country. The event includes town hall meetings, technical deep dive sessions, private sector engagement, and key regulatory agencies meetings.
All the participants from the Northwest, who are our champions, in the table, reform champions, and the collaboration will continue.
A panel session with governors from the Northwest Zone focuses on regional economic development strategies and public-private partnerships. Representatives of governors from the Northwest states are participating in the summit.
We have prioritized economic reforms, revolutionizing the business environment in the state. I'm proud to share that we have created the Kaduna State Economic Council. Council remains firm and committed on providing the enabling environment for business and commercial activities to flourish and support neighboring economies.
The event seeks to develop a regional economic development roadmap, secure commitments from private sector investors, simplify regulatory processes, and strengthen collaboration among Northwest states. In Katsina, Awal Haliru, NTA News.
Software and information technology have been described as key drivers in the growth and development of any nation. Adamu Sunday reports that this was made known during an inaugural lecture at the Air Force Institute of Technology in Kaduna by Professor Philip Achumugu.
Poverty remains an issue robbing individuals, communities, and entire nations of opportunities, dignity, and fulfillment. While Nigeria is blessed with resources, poverty remains a reality for many individuals and households. To fight this menace, the Air Force Institute of Technology Kaduna is championing the use of software and information technology as a weapon against poverty.
This first inaugural lecture aligns with President Tinubu's vision of the new hub. The President's goal of generating technical talent will facilitate the creation of jobs for our team units.
With the theme, poverty amidst riches. Can software and information technology renew our hope? Professor Philip Achimugu highlighted the transformative power of these technologies, stating that they hold the key to unlocking economic growth and prosperity if properly harnessed.
ICT now has diffused into various sectors of the Nigerian economy. And unfortunately, in this part of the world, we have not imbibed that fully. And that is why you find poverty amidst our youth. In developed crimes, such as UK, US, and even China developing economy, you find youths involved in developing ICT infrastructure or software that meets local needs of the country.
It is expected that research carried out related to this topic will enable further policy development that will assist the country in addressing the gaps that have been identified.
I hope the government and the institutions will look at these presentations and work with it. It will be very useful to the nation.
Stakeholders advocate that Nigerians must seize this opportunity to transform the landscape of poverty with the power of software and information technology to create a future for all. In Kaduna, Adamu Sunday, NTA News.
And that's our contributions from this end. Nationwide continues in our Abuja studio. Thank you for watching.
Thank you very much. Now, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, directs electricity consumers not to comply with the instruction from the distribution companies, asking them to pay for replacement of faulty and obsolete meters. The Commission, in a statement, insists that it is the responsibility of the distribution companies to replace faulty meters free of charge, provided that the fault is not caused by the customer. NERC also orders that no customer with a meter should be forcefully migrated to estimated billing on account of faulty and obsolete meter. The regulator urges customers to report cases of non-compliance to the order by any distribution company through its appropriate channels. NERC restates its commitment to protect customers' interests and rights by ensuring compliance with established regulatory standards and enforcing regulatory penalties for non-compliance by its licenses. And now President Bola Tinubu has redesignated the positions of two recently appointed officials in the State House Media and Communications team to enhance efficiency within the government's communication machinery. A statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, notes that Mr. Sunday Dare, who was Special Advisor on Public Communication and National Orientation, is now Special Advisor, Media and Public Communications. Similarly, Mr. Daniel Boala, announced last week as Special Advisor, Media and Public Communications, is now Special Advisor, Policy Communication. These appointments, Mr. Onanuga states, show that all the three special advisors will collectively serve as spokespersons for the government for effective and consistent communication of government policies, decisions, and engagements. An annual engagement with local and internationally renowned Islamic scholars, tagged One Ummah, Peace and Unity Convention, is providing practical and faith-based strategies to empower Nigerians navigate socioeconomic challenges with resilience and purpose in their personal, professional, and community lives. Tope Alabi reports that this year's convergence in Abuja had experts and prominent scholars, including Sheikh Mufti Ismail Menk, who shared knowledge and experience with participants.
This year's One Ummah Peace and Unity Convention focuses on resilience, the role of faith in handling contemporary challenges with mental health, business, career, and general issues forming the crux of conversations by the Islamic scholars and experts.
Beware, there are consequences. Many of us are not going through trials from Allah. We're only going through the consequences of our weaknesses.
You are not dressed properly and you are telling your daughter, dress properly. It's not going to happen. Why? You need to first dress properly without telling your daughter she will want to dress like you.
This is expected to equip participants with strategies to integrate faith and conviction into their business and career development as they navigate challenges to nurture entrepreneurship and financial literacy.
Because if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not grant you success, you would never ever be able to acquire success in your business. So beware of pride.
While the event seeks adults to build healthy relationships with guidance and mutual respect on maintaining mental health within marriage and conflict resolution, the teens were encouraged on peer connections and personal growth to understand self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and social skills.
It is very rare that we'll talk about marriage, that the conversation will not start tilting towards women are suffering and men are suffering them. Iblis is our problem though.
It's so important that we work as hard as we can to transform ourselves to be better than who we are today. And that is one of the things that this year's PUC is striving to establish.
This is an opportunity to learn more, but also to take actions.
We must learn to unite because, like they say, together we're stronger.
This year's Unity and Peace Convention is deepening strategies for understanding and overcoming challenges while allowing people to discover themselves to find solace and strength. In Abuja, Tokbe Alabi, NTA News.
The use of improvised explosive device by criminals is a major obstacle to ongoing counter-insurgency operations. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports the IEDs are being used by criminals to destroy critical infrastructure and installations.
There are more than 40 regional and national terrorist networks using IEDs to carry out their actions. In preparation for the 2024 Presidential Communication Command and Control Center, the National Counter-Terrorism Center is coordinating a counter-improvised explosive device training for security agencies to enhance effective rapid response during national crisis situations.
It is also planned to test the participants' command and control structures and to ensure that decision-making processes are clear, swift, and efficient. We look forward to seeing how you foster rapid response to countering improvised explosive devices threats in the country, and also assess your ability to execute your responsibility effectively under high-pressure conditions.
Threats posed by IED are further compounded based on the fact that the items used for the illegal manufacturing of the device are cheap and easily accessible.
We found out that the insurgents were using urea to produce IEDs. So the Office of National Security Advisor restricted the movement of urea to the northeastern part of the country. However, these guys have gone down to the use of basic materials to produce IEDs, which have caused destruction.
The training is to also enhance a unified response and develop the capacity of personnel to detect and diffuse IEDs with speed and precision. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
We now go over to Port Harcourt, where Diva Barry is standing by for more reports. Hello, Diva Barry.
Port Harcourt. The federal government's initiative to introduce skill acquisition programs in primary and junior secondary schools geared towards empowering the future generation is eliciting reactions from Port Harcourt residents. Ijoma Weke, who spoke with some of them, reports that the people are optimistic that the policy, if well implemented, will yield the desired results.
Acquiring practical skills that can be converted to money at a young age can significantly shape a person's future prospects. Possessing skills that are in high demand can help foster an enterprising spirit, improve practical knowledge, and increase confidence. Although vocations such as carpentry, catering, and tailoring provide vital services to society, they were relegated to the background.
I started making hair at the age of 8. It helped me through my secondary school. You know, during lunch time, you make your seniors hair, then they pay me 20 naira, 30 naira.
With the introduction of digital and creative skills, which now drive the society, Some key players say the initiative by the federal government will help students become better equipped to navigate present economic realities.
After junior work, if you don't make it, they take you to skill acquisition, where you learn skill, handwork, because it's not every child that have the ability to continue with education.
The benefits of skills acquisition in primary and junior secondary schools, educators say, are enormous, and they are prepared to integrate teaching of skills into existing curriculum.
We are going to create time for that. If you are using maybe 2 hours or 3 hours for a topic, we'll carve out an hour for that particular one. It's a welcome development.
I see it as a good thing that our students now, before we got out of this school, we are going to have ideas of catering and tailoring.
The initiative, which seeks to transform education and encourage project-based learning, has thrown up the need for capacity building of teachers to enable them brace up to challenges of development in the education sector. In Port Harcourt, Ijomu Gweke, NTA News.
There is a growing concern over activities of criminals who often masquerade as drivers to dupe unsuspecting passengers of their resources. Chidebere Onya, who spoke with some residents of Port Harcourt on this mode of robbery, often referred to as one chance, reports on efforts to curb the trend.
One chance is a form of organized crime where criminals pose as legitimate commercial drivers to rob unsuspecting passengers. In worst scenarios, these unscrupulous individuals kill their victims for ritual purposes or kidnap them for ransom. Concerned Port Harcourt residents are calling on security operatives to take extra measures to enhance security and safety of commuters.
When I was going to church at Eliozu Junction, so as I was coming that evening, not too long, they started discussing of pounds and you brought dollar, you brought this. So in my mind, I said, this is them. Oh.
Some of them have some dollars with them that they will show you, and these are fake. Just for you to respond, you now fall under their antics. So what you need to do is that whenever they are discussing, they have that sort of conversation in your midst, please alight from the bus and leave.
Rivers State Police Command has advised residents against boarding unregistered commercial vehicles. The command's police commissioner, Mustafa Bala, reiterates that registered commercial vehicles in the state are colored blue and white for identification purposes.
For that one chance, I'm telling you, because of the proactive measure we adopted through stop and search, through convoy patrol, maybe they are apprehensive. The criminal may likely to change another tactic. But for now, we're able to keep them at bay. They are not able to operate.
The rise in some of these nefarious activities underscores the urgent need for enhanced security measures and public awareness to protect individuals from falling prey to criminal elements. In Port Harcourt, Chidebere Onya, NTA News.
We are done here. The news will continue in Enugu right after the break. Good evening.
Center. Member of House of Representatives Committee on Debt Fund and Other Services have made a working and other services state to ascertain the level of accessibility, implementation and utilization of tertiary intervention allocation to higher institutions in the state. Chika Ugu reports that Governor Peter Mba received the committee at the Government House.
The committee, which was inaugurated following complaints and petitions rising from alleged poor execution and allocation of the TED fund, is poised to look into the status of allocations made available to institutions within a 4-year period. Upon investigation, the committee discovered that huge sum of amount is still at the CBN yet to be assessed by beneficiary institutions, which is eroding value.
Through this committee, we pledge our support and deploy legislative interventions where necessary to ensure that this intervention seeks to actually bridge the infrastructure gap, as well as promote teaching and learning within the higher institutions.
Governor Peter Mbahu commended the federal government and National Assembly for the move, noting that education is a top priority in the state. For this reason, he said, the state government has allocated 33% of the state budget to education.
Our true wealth as a nation lies in our human capital development. There is no way we can realize that if we don't fund a tertiary institution.
The committee say they will engage with critical stakeholders in the state to amplify better deployment and access to the intervention fund. In Enugu, Chika Ugu, NTA News.
Over 30 public secondary schools in Enugu North and South have sat for the 2024-2025 batch of scholarship awards of the member representing the constituency at the Federal House of Representatives, Chimobi Sam Ato. About 500 beneficiaries will be produced from the examination held in 8 centers across the constituency. Susan Eze has more.
In the 8 centers across Enugu North and South Federal Constituency, these students sat for the scholarship examination, each hopeful of qualifying. The scholarship covers full payment of the WAEC or NECO exams and 2-term school fees for successful candidates. Monitoring the conduct of the examination, Representative Ato said the scholarship scheme was born out of his belief in building positive prospects for the future generation through investments in capacity building, especially education and skills. His goal, he said, is to reduce illiteracy by supporting the education of indigent students.
We are here to promote education, giving back to the society. We want to encourage them that education should be the bedrock to any successful society. Irrespective of the crown, where you come from, you should not be deprived of sound education.
Applauding the transparency of the process, students and teachers thanked the benefactor.
What I would say to the Honorable is thumbs up. He should continue with his good work, because with this it can help out the poor masses that don't have the opportunity to pay for their exams.
A very big thank you to Honorable Chimobi Samat.
It's one of a kind. We hardly experienced this, and we are very, very grateful.
The monitoring gave Representative Ato the opportunity to interact with the students as he gave them some pep talks on the importance of education and self-development. Senior secondary 3 students from 30 public schools within the constituency, including the government school for the blind, sat for the examination. In Enugu, Susan Eze, NTA News.
And that's our contribution from here. Let's now rejoin Abuja for more reports on Nationwide.
Thank you, Comfort. And now, a night of tribute is to be held tomorrow at the NTA Arena in honor of our late colleague, sister and friend, Joy Osiago.
We have lost a rare gem. Join us for a night of tributes in honor of our dear colleague, Joy Osiago.
I am Joy Osiago. Read it.
On Wednesday, November 20, 2024, at the NTA Arena, Area 11, Garki, Abuja. Time is 5 p.m.
And that's Nationwide today. We thank you always for finding time to join us.